Takakura, and I'm here to bring you another Zen Tech concept where I bridge spirituality and technology to make energy work easier to understand and apply in everyday life. So, today I want to talk about protecting grids as your human EDR. In my 3D profession, I work as an IT advisor, and a big part of what I do is help small business owners understand cybersecurity and the different layers needed to protect their business environment. So we talk about solutions like MFA, spam filtering, firewalls, and EDR, among other things, but each of these layers has a purpose. MFA or multi-factor authentication helps verify identity. You're used to using this when you log into your bank account or systems that have sensitive information online. Spam filtering helps reduce harmful or unwanted messages before they reach your inbox. And firewalls, which I've described pretty recently with the human firewall, help control what traffic or data is allowed in or out based on defined rules and policies. And finally, EDR, which stands for Endpoint Detection and Response, helps monitor devices for suspicious behavior, detects threats, and responds before something spreads or causes damage. So in cybersecurity, an endpoint is usually a laptop, a desktop, or a server, or any device connected to the network. And if that endpoint becomes compromised, it can interrupt business operations, cause downtime, reduce productivity, and in some cases, it'll actually bring everything to a halt. So I want to just share a slide I commonly use for my clients to describe EDR specifically. So let me go and share that slide so you can see that. And commonly the slide that I walk my customers or my clients through, and it just gives a really basic definition of EDR. But this is just showing you how I normally um, discuss this or explain this. And uh, it has a definition and it says why it matters. But the funny thing was that as I was basically explaining this over and over to my clients, it started to basically make me feel like I need to talk about this from a spiritual aspect. And that's what made me want to bring this forward. So as you can see, it's a really simple slide that just talks about EDR, what it is, why it matters, and a really quick diagram there. But I'm going to stop sharing that screen so I can go back here to my explanation. So just wanted to explain that naturally when I began exploring spiritual protection, my technical mindset translated this through a really similar framework, just like I was explaining. Because if a small business needs layered cybersecurity to protect its digital environment, then light workers, empaths, healers, and energetically sensitive people also need this layered protection for their spiritual and energetic environment. So this is where protection grids come in. I first discovered the Ascended Masters protection grids in 2024. And hard to believe that was a couple years back now. Through the Ascension with the Ascended Masters groups, I researched them and received the grids for myself. And since that time, several of my lightworker friends and community members have also adopted them into their own energetic practice. And so for this video, I'll refer to them simply as protection grids, but I just wanted to acknowledge their connection to higher frequency with the Ascended Masters framework. So what stood out to me about these grids that they are much more than a simple shield or set of intentions. They're a spiritual technology, an intelligent protection system designed to support the human energy field. And that's where my Zen Tech brain lit up. Through the Zen Tech lens, you and I are the endpoint. So your body, your nervous system, your aura, your consciousness, your subtle energy field, these are all components of the living system that you and I are, that's being protected. So when I say protection grids are your human EDR, I literally mean they function like endpoint detection and response for the human energy body. Just as cybersecurity EDR protects a digital endpoint by monitoring, detecting, and responding to these threats in real time, protection grids also support the energetic endpoint by creating a responsive protection layer around the subtle body. So they're not just simply a wall or a shield or you know something simple like that. They're a spiritual technology for energetic awareness, protection, containment, and response. So, and that's an important distinction. This protection doesn't mean disconnection or losing any senses. This protection means awareness without giving up your access or your ability. So a protection grid does not shut down your intuition, sensitivity, clairsentience, empathy, or awareness. It instead creates a protected operating space. So you can still sense what's moving around you. You can still feel energy. You can still receive information. You can still be aware of any interference or lower frequency activity. So, um, but you're doing so within the security of this grid. So awareness does not mean that you're vulnerable, and that proves or differentiates between detection and compromise. So in cybersecurity, EDR can detect suspicious behavior before a system is fully infected or compromised. So it can alert, contain, isolate, or help remediate that threat. Energetically, these same concepts actually apply. So protection grids help support detection and response around the human field by helping you recognize what's yours and what's not. They help prevent interference from becoming attachment. They help maintain the integrity of your energetic system, and they help create a protected field while allowing your sensitivity and awareness to remain active and online. So this also builds on the earlier Zen tech concepts I've already covered around encapsulation and becoming a human firewall. If encapsulation defines the energetic container, the human firewall applies discernment and access rules. The protection grid becomes the advanced detection and response layer that's active in real time. So the Zen tech, the full model of Zen tech becomes your field has structure, your awareness has discernment, your protection grid has response intelligence. And these are all different security layers that work together as an ecosystem because you can't rely on just one thing. In the real world, when you use or you utilize cybersecurity, you don't just rely on one software or one thing. It's a collaboration of different tools. For small businesses, I talk about EDR as a cybersecurity solution that helps protect their systems. For light workers, this is my public service announcement that protection grids are a spiritual technology that's here to help protect the human energy system. They're different environments with some different language, but they are very similar in function in so many ways. So one's protecting the digital endpoint, the other supports the energetic endpoint. So, and to me, this is the essence of Zen tech. It's using the language of technology to better understand the architecture of the human field or the human energy field through concepts that are familiar, practical, and already well understood and proven. So I do want to take a step back and want to be clear that the protection grids are not about fear or being in a place of fear. They are here to provide sovereignty, awareness, and being well prepared. And I'm using this in the context of as we emit more light through our light work, it makes sense to recognize that greater visibility can also create greater exposure and risk to dense, disruptive, or misaligned energies. And just as we use cybersecurity resources to protect the business environment, there are spiritual technologies and energetic resources available to support and protect the human field. So protection grids are not about shutting yourself off from the world. They're about operating your human system with greater clarity, protection, discernment, and energetic authority. They allow us to stay open, connected, and aware while also being protected and prepared and sovereign in our field. So to simplify, protection grids are your human EDR, uh, endpoint detection and response for the human energy field. So give me a chance to share another slide that creates a visual representation of this. Let me go back to my slide here. As you can see by my beautiful slide here, I'm showing EDR and protection grid side by side. The EDR over here has all of the different elements that define how it operates when you're using it on a system. in essence, I'm just showing the equivalent of the energetic layers that would be defined in a very similar manner, but they're both providing the features of detection, monitoring, protection, response. And so, with that, I just want to just kind of repeat or reiterate. They help protect your consciousness, your subtle body, and your multidimensional operating system. If you want to read and learn more about them or understand how to get them yourself, I have provided a link in the description below. You can read about them and decide for yourself if these may be a fit for you. So I'm Vera, and this is Zen Tech, bridging spirituality and technology to make energy and light work easier to understand and apply in your everyday life. Thank you for listening. And until next time, thank you. Thank you again.